What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 16 of Dead with My Friends podcast. I'm Steve,
I'm Nick.
and on this episode, we have a very special guest with us, Nick. Our first guest, everyone, please welcome my good friend, Dylan Jarvis. What's up, Dylan?
What's up? Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, absolutely,
Happy to
man.
have you, dude.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
It feels like old times back when we did the Horror Haven thing,
Mm-hmm.
which for
Second
those that
time
don't
of me
know,
seeing you, but it was great meeting you. Like, what was it, last week? We were recording Alice, Sweet Alice.
yep, we did a little test run. Got to, talk shop a bit, just shoot the shit. You guys finally got to meet each other after all this time.
Yeah, I know. Well, somewhat meet. We'll,
Yeah,
we'll have
somewhat.
to chill. We'll have to chill in person, watch some movies, man.
Yeah.
That or
Next
if,
time
like,
I'm up
we
in
can-
the area for sure.
Yeah, or like if we could ever like meet each other in Monster Mania Con. How far is like
Hell yeah.
Philly from you?
Philly, probably
New
like
Jersey.
8 hours if I were to
8
guess.
hours?
Yeah. Usually
guys-
like Pennsylvania is about 8 hours, so.
The big
Pennsylvania's
thing down
fucking
there is
huge, man.
Yeah.
Monster. What is it? Mad Monster Party, right?
Yeah,
That's
we
like-
have Mad Monster down here. It's about 4 hours from us, but it's like west where you guys are north, so.
Okay.
But I definitely be down. Like we've looked at like anytime there's a convention anywhere within like the eastern part of the country, we're like tracking it and like we should go, and we never end up going. But
I feel you. We haven't done Monster Mania since like
Since
COVID.
COVID.
yeah,
Like it shut down that weekend. The world shut down the weekend of Monster Mania.
It was beginning to. All the guests were starting to fucking like just bail one by one, because we knew that it was impending. Or not, I shouldn't say impending, but we knew like the whole COVID situation was happening. So everybody was just kind of like wondering, like, is this convention still going to go on? Like, are they going to still? And then lo and behold, just it was supposed to be like a big Friday the 13th reunion too, which was
Yeah.
super dope. But everybody started, dropping out. But
yeah. I think we went to Mad Monster like the month before everything shut down with COVID, and we just went like 2 months ago for the first time since COVID, and it was such a blast to just jump back into it and like talk like bullshit with the vendors and just kind
that's
of
the best.
everybody.
Dude.
Yeah. You definitely appreciate it more now, and I think that's the big thing. Not to get too much in like COVID talk or anything, but I was talking with Steven a little bit too, just about like hitting up live shows recently and stuff. Like you just appreciate it so much more after not doing it for so many years.
Exactly, dude. 100%. Like I miss going to the cons, but like VHS Fest is fun and just getting back going to shows and shit. Yeah, I've missed it so much, but
I just started going back to the shows because of Steven, really.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely gotten me into wanting to go out more. So, because I wasn't going out for a while. I wouldn't go out for anybody. I would go see Slipknot. That was it.
yeah.
I always make it a point to go see Slipknot whenever they're close by. That's the only way to fucking get me out.
I got you coming up towards me next Friday.
You're getting me out of my shell with it.
Yeah. I'm gonna go see our boys in Servant of Sorrow, Sick Bay, bunch of good Hudson Valley death metal bands.
I feel like the last 3 episodes, it's just been shouting out this fucking show, and it's like finally happening. So when you had went to the convention the last time, did you meet anybody?
I met John Russo, co-writer of Night of the Living Dead. We didn't really pay to meet a lot of people. We ran into quite a few people, like just in passing though, like because when we go, we stay at the hotels that they're in. So the first day we were there, before the convention even started, I got in the elevator because I was going down to get our stuff out of the car, and Keith David was in the elevator. And he was just like singing and like bullshitting with us and stuff. So that's really the coolest part. Like I feel like anytime we go, we meet the most people like in the elevators. Like one of the first years we went, we met Robert Englund in the elevator. There was like a 4-hour line to meet him.
That's a rarity.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not waiting in line, and we were in the elevator to go down,
crazy.
and he got in the elevator and was just BSing with us. So
That's pretty cool.
Dude, I had a similar situation with Anthony Michael Hall. When I went to go meet him, dude, he was such a fucking cool guy. This was way before he was even in Halloween or before he played Tommy Doyle. I can't remember like what he was like doing at the time, but I had met him and we were just shooting the shit for a while about The Dark Knight. I really wanted to know everything about it because he was in that, so I was asking him about Chris Nolan and Heath Ledger and shit, and great things, said nothing but great things. But I had to get an autograph, dude, because I love Weird Science. I loved him in The Breakfast Club. Um, National
16
Lampoon.
Candles, was he in that too?
I don't remember if he was in. Yeah, was he in 16 Candles? I think he was.
I feel like he
I think
was.
so.
Or Pretty in Pink, one of them.
Yeah, one of them he was
Yeah.
definitely in.
He was
John
in.
Hughes though, right? Yeah.
Yep, he was in John Hughes flicks. Did I say National Lampoon's Vacation?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, he was in that. That's my favorite of his though. Rusty Griswold. But yeah, no, man, just to get back, I ran into him. I went upstairs. I was getting some money because I was gonna go get an autograph from him. He was leaving his booth. I met him pretty much in like the him getting off the elevator. And he was so nice, dude. He was like, "Hey, what's going on, man? I'm done. I'm going up to my room. All this. I was just coming to meet you." And he was like, "All right, hold on one second." He walks over to like the banquet area and pulls out like the room card number thing, and it was
Mhm.
like paper, and he signed it and like to Nick. And I told him that that I wanted to be a filmmaker, and he's like, "To Nick, put me to work when you're in Hollywood or some shit." And I have it. I was like, that's like the most meaningful thing that like somebody's ever, done for me. But
Yeah, no,
long-winded
that's really
story
cool.
for your.
When we when we went to Days of the Dead in Charlotte like 4 or 5 years ago now, and we met Ted Raimi, and
Oh,
one of the coolest fucking guys I've ever met. But
I want to meet him so bad.
I
he
want to meet Sam.
yeah, I do want to meet Sam Raimi, but we met Ted Raimi. We were bullshitting with him for a while. We were like showing each other like pictures of our dogs and shit. And he's like, "Yo, come find me later. I'll give you guys hugs." And we're like, "All right, whatever."
He'll give you
So,
hugs.
yeah. So we're there, like we were all hanging out. We had a bunch of people like in our hotel room and stuff, and not everybody was in the right state of mind is the only thing I'll say, but it's like
Everybody's
2 in the
having a
morning.
good time.
Yeah, it's like 2 in the morning, and we were just like roaming this hotel. We're like, we gotta find Ted Raimi.
Did you ever get your hug? Did you ever find him?
We found him the next day. We're like, yo, we're looking for you. Like 2 in the morning. He's like, he started cracking up. He's like, all right. He like was bullshitting with us and stuff. He's definitely like one of the coolest guys I've met. Like super down to earth. Just wanted to chat basically.
Dude, I love that. I'm actually really glad that the con conversation had come up because I've been wanting to like ask Steven about it. I've been like really missing conventions, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'll ask Dylan first. So would say Ted Raimi was your favorite person you ever met at a convention?
He's definitely up there. Like we met quite a few people because we've gone multiple times. So I'd have to think like he's one of the first ones that come to mind. We met Linnea Quigley
She's such
actually
a
after
sweetheart.
one of the conventions. We just sat outside with her. She was talking about like all the dogs that she's rescued and like
Oh, I
like,
love that.
just having conversations. We met one of the coolest things that I've seen that I always like to bring up is at Days of the Dead, Tony Todd and Derek Mears were both there, and they kept getting in trouble because they were just leaving their tables to just go and like talk to the vendors and like buy a bunch of stuff. Like they were there as fans 100%.
Oh yeah.
And I just thought that was the coolest thing that they're like there with us basically. Like
That's
like
like the-
the people that were like assisting them had to keep coming to find them. They're like, you need to stay at your table.
Dude, I feel like when you're a fan and you're at a convention and you're like working it, like the way that they're working it, it's like the biggest cock tease.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to just go see like what movies I can find, what kind of posters and collectibles, shirts, and all this shit that I can fucking get. And then it's like, I mean, I'm sure sitting there signing the autographs is fucking awesome, like meeting all the
Mhm.
people who appreciate your movies. But we definitely also do see, people wandering around like Pauly Shore.
Of course.
That's fucking cool.
Nick's a big
They'll like
Pauly
wander
Shore
around,
guy.
which is cool, just like getting gear and stuff. But all right, who's your favorite person you've ever met, Steven?
Oh man, I'd have to say Clive Barker.
Cool.
When we met, he was so personable, and like I kind of fell in love with the guy. In that moment, I was like, you're awesome.
Dude, he was so nice, man. And then I mean, that was just a really good time. Have you ever met anybody from the Hellraiser series, like Doug Bradley or anybody?
I didn't meet Doug Bradley, but he's been at Mad Monster a few times. We've kind of just like head nodded, like waved in passing and stuff, but I haven't like stood in line to meet him.
This dude, the Hellraiser people are like the
They are
greatest
great.
people to meet.
Yeah.
Man. They're so
Yeah,
met 'em
he
all.
seemed super down to earth, just like
Yeah,
talking to
Doug's
everybody and
cool,
stuff.
the Cenobites, dude.
but
Like,
all of the like the other Cenobites, like Nicholas Vincent and
yeah.
just who played Butterball? What's his name?
His name escapes me right
Yeah,
now.
it's escaping me too. But all of the Cenobites, they were so chill. So chill. Great conversation.
Yeah, for sure, man. I gotta say, for me, Joe Turkel from The Shining was my favorite person I've ever met, for sure. He was
That's a
the
good one.
coolest guy. Yeah, man. I'm like, he's like, it's like the proudest thing for me. Is like, yeah, I met Joe Turkel. I don't know if he's still alive or not, man.
Was that the bartender?
Yeah, Lloyd the bartender.
Okay.
He was so cool, man. We were talking about like Stanley Kubrick. Like, how many people can you talk to who have had a personal, one-on-one experience with the Stanley Kubrick, dude?
Yeah, not many.
I was just fucking geeking out with this guy, dude. And
Danny Lloyd's been doing conventions too lately.
That's-
He was at Mad Monster one of the years we went, and it's kind of weird because like I've read like interviews and like stuff that he said where he's like, I don't really remember filming the movie at all. But
I've heard that.
Yeah, but then like he's at these conventions and he'll sit there and like tell you all these stories about filming, and it's like I'm hesitant because it's like, how much is this stuff that you remember and how much is it that you've just like picked up from the years that you've like heard happen, and just like, oh yeah, I think I remember that, and like how skewed is that, you know?
Oh yeah, I can understand that. Who knows? Like maybe he's like ventured into like the memories of it, like like really watching some behind the scenes stuff, or maybe like even his family members have like some behind the scenes stuff, and
Yeah, that's true.
maybe now like so maybe he's experiencing the movie and reliving it and trying to like remember it based off of that kind of shit. Could be.
Yeah.
So Dylan, you and I have been friends for 10 plus years now.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
We used to work at ShopRite together. We're all ShopRite alumni here.
Yeah, dude.
All our first jobs for the
we
most
actually
part.
we were talking because you guys had told me like, yo, make a list of movies that you want to cover, and one of the first ones I thought of was Intruder, for that exact reason, because like I love Intruder. You guys haven't seen it, right?
Oh no, I own it.
I've never seen it.
Great
but
movie.
Okay,
I
if you've ever worked in a grocery store, this is a movie for you. Like, just things that you picture as a horror fan working at a grocery store, you're like, yep, okay, I see it.
Absolutely.
So that was one of the first movies I threw out that I'm like, yeah, I'd cover that 100%.
Oh, we'll have you on again, dude, to cover that, because all three of us working at Shopper, we have to. We have such an insight on like.
You guys have any
movie.
good stories working together? Like a quick
I would
God.
really want to save it for
That's another day, man.
episode.
Yeah, or maybe we could just shoot the shit later and we'll talk like a
Yeah,
couple things, because
100%.
I got some fun things. I mean, or also like I think you want to maybe keep it for when we do Intruder.
That's what I'm saying. I want to keep it for when.
But we
do
can share at
Intruder.
least one crazy story.
Yeah.
Dylan, you got any on the top of your head? I think I got one.
Oh man, those days are like a fever dream to me at this point,
dude.
Especially in the area that we were at, man.
Uh-huh.
Like, you just see crazy shit.
Always.
Oh, I could imagine up by you guys.
We had this one dude. His name is also Steve. He was like a big Russian dude, right? Guy fucking reeked. But he would always buy 20 cans of cat food and a rotisserie chicken for himself every time. And he was kind of pervy, right? Towards like the female staff and shit, and just but he was just, I don't know, he like loved to like shoot the shit with like me, Dylan, just like fuck with us. I don't know. He was
He would tell Steven he was his dad. He'd be like, I'm your father.
He's like, oh, that's my son. That's my son. I was like, don't fucking, I'm not your son. Every time he'd come down my line, he'd be like, hey, it was my son. I was like, brother.
People definitely believed it too, didn't they?
I fucking hope. I was trying to like clear the air. I was like, that is
I bet you the
not my
cat
dad.
food was for him. I'm not gonna lie. The only reason why I say that is because there was a fucking dude who used to buy a shit ton of cat food at my shop rate, and I was just like, wow, he's got a lot of fucking cats, man. And it would especially be bad when it was like a sale, and that's all that he would ever really buy. And then somebody like a lifer, as like we call them, like the people that were there before we were there, that are like our age now, the lifers, yeah. They're like, yeah, he eats that. I'm like, what?
No.
They're like, yeah, no, he eats that. And then you can also see him sometimes. He'll like look through the garbage in the appy department. Remember that? The appy appetizing department or appetizers. and he would look through the garbage for like bones and stuff, and he would eat that shit too.
No,
What the fuck?
Fuck.
Chicken bones and stuff.
This dude sounds more wild than Steve.
Oh, I got good ones from my store, man. I got, yeah, but we don't got to go down that hole right now.
We'll save that for the intruder episode.
Yeah, we'll save
for
it.
sure. But yeah, Dylan and I, like, we clicked working together at ShopRite. We also went to community college together, but we clicked through like music and movies. I forgot who had asked who about probably some random movie, like, yo, you a fan of this movie? And then like anytime we worked because we were both cashiers.
Right.
Anytime we worked like the lanes next to each other, we would just shoot the shit about horror movies, like all fucking
Well,
shit.
we conned, so we did fundraising over the summers.
Oh yeah.
And we conned them, and we would go in, and anytime me and Steven were working together, like, yo, can we sell hot dogs? Because we'd sell hot dogs to like raise money for fundraisers.
Yeah.
So our managers were just like, yeah, sure. So him and I would just sit outside, cook hot dogs for like 8 hours straight and bullshit.
It was the sickest.
Yep.
We would sling dogs, shoot the shit in the parking lot. We had this dude Cody that we were friends with. He was a cart guy. Man, just so many good times. Like summer nights out there. And Dylan and Cody, we could share this one just for the hell of it. Parking lot ghost.
The ghost.
The parking lot ghost. You want to talk about it?
What about him?
You gotta remind me, man. There's so much weird shit that happened there.
All right. You had told me one night I wasn't on shift, but you were working the grill.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw some dude, and he
that walked in the cornfield.
Yeah,
there.
that walked in.
Yeah.
So our ShopRite has like this random cornfield that just leads out to nowhere.
That's cool.
This dude Dylan saw him, just bag full of groceries, just took off through the cornfield.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to. It's the way it's set up. There's like, how the fuck are you walking through?
It's like
a cornfield, and then there's a hill, and the hill is built like there's like stone built up the hill.
So there's just no reason for him to have been going in that direction.
The only way that you go, you're hitting like a like straight brick wall basically,
and you'd
like,
have to scale that wall like super high up to get.
Dude, you might have saw a fucking ghost or something.
Well, so get this. Cody, a week later, is like, yo, dude, something really weird happened to me. I was like, what's up? He was like, I was grabbing the last of the carts before the end of my shift. It's like 10 o'clock at night. And he just sees some dude with a bag of groceries, and he just walks off into the cornfield. And I was like, Cody, tell Dylan what you saw. So yeah, ShopRite.
Dude,
I'm not
gonna name names, but I watched a guy who worked there once. He was grabbing carts, and he's like staring off into space, and he swears to me because there's mountains behind it, and there's been rumors for a while that like there's like government bases with like UFOs and shit in those mountains.
Yep.
And he's like, I swear I just saw something take off into the mountains. And he stood there for like an hour just fucking staring at the mountain. I'm like, dude, there ain't shit out there. Yeah.
That's what you think.
Yeah.
I want to believe.
Yeah.
Dude, I look every fucking night, dude. I'll smoke every night outside on the back porch, bro. And on beautiful, clear nights, I'm just like, is tonight going to be the night?
Yo, I believe it 100%. I just don't believe it there.
See one? Am I gonna finally fucking see one? Yeah, but that's like the least suspecting place. You'd never think in your wildest dreams your hometown is like a Stranger Things place, right?
Yeah.
They didn't either. But like, imagine that shit, like fucking Ellenville.
I definitely believe
big
in
military
UFOs.
Base in the woods. That'd be sick.
And Ellenville is like 15 minutes away from the UFO capital of New York, which is this town called Pine Bush.
Yep.
And it's notorious for UFO sightings, and they have a UFO festival every May. So,
So you guys are experiencing some phenomena there.
But yeah, man. So also on the subject, the movie we are talking, I don't know if we had mentioned, but we are talking Evil Dead Rise. We all just saw it last night in the theaters, opening night.
Fuck yeah.
But we had all seen the 2013 Fede Alvarez Evil Dead. And
Opening
Dylan,
night.
like how does that hold up to you now? Because I remember we disagreed on it a lot when
okay,
first came
so
out.
I don't want to spoil my thoughts on Evil Dead Rise like too early because we haven't jumped into it at all yet, but I will say that it's definitely one of the movies I've seen. That's it. Like, wasn't great, wasn't bad, but I felt a little disappointed walking out of Evil Dead Rise. and I felt we had discussed it a little bit last week. I felt really disappointed walking out of the 2013 version, and that movie's grown on me so much. Like, love that movie now. So I walked out and I'm like, I don't want to just jump to like, I hate this movie, because that's what I did last time. And then like looking back, I'm like, okay, I love this movie. But I would say similar experiences, but it's hard to jump into without like jumping into the movie.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. But it's cool that like Evil Dead 2013 has grown on you, because like, you know, when it first came out, I remember you weren't into it. I was super fucking high on it. I saw
I
it like
loved
2
it.
weeks in a row, and then
Yeah.
the second showing, some woman passed out in the front row during the scene where Mia splits her tongue. And they had to stop the movie, assess her, make sure she was good. She was good. We got free tickets out of it, and they just like
Did they
played
pause
it.
the movie?
Yeah, they stopped it. They had to, I guess. You
That's
know,
so
she
funny.
needed
I
medical
think
attention.
They're
I
like, all right,
ruined...
yeah, good, roll it. She's all right. She wants to
Yeah.
continue watching the
No,
movie.
they took her out, and then they brought it right back to the scene right before Mia is about to like split.
So
her
you got
tongue.
to watch
like,
it twice.
when yeah, like when the what is it? David's girlfriend's like going down the stairs at first.
Yeah.
Like they brought it back to like that scene.
It's a great scene.
And
yeah,
we got free
I think
tickets
I
out of
ruined it. I think I ruined the 2013 one for me a little bit, because I watched the Red Band trailer for that movie like every day leading up to the release, and
Hell yeah.
they put basically everything in the trailer. So
Yeah,
going into the movie,
man.
yeah,
Hate
and
when
that
that shit
trailer's
happens.
fucking hyped. Like, I talked to my wife the other day. I'm like, I'm a trailer guy. Like, there's certain trailers that to this day, the Evil Dead 2013 is one of them. Like, I'll randomly just throw it on because I'm like, this is fucking amazing. The way they edited this and the sound and everything, it's fucking A+. So I watched that trailer every night. I hyped myself up so much, and we went in, and I just left disappointed. I know a big thing that disappointed me a lot with it was the Deadites. I felt like they were more like Exorcist than Evil Dead. Like, they were super vulgar, and I'm like, that's not what it should be. I was being a purist, basically.
For me, it wasn't the vulgarity. I actually love that, but it was more or less the look, the overall look of them. Whereas to this day, I still find the original Evil Dead like fucking scary as hell.
Yeah.
Those Deadites are so scary. So that was my one major complaint with Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead, and Evil Dead Rise, without getting too much into it, is just
Right.
I prefer the older Deadites. But I did like the vulgarity though.
They're more fitting for the tone.
Fede Alvarez's.
Like Sam Raimi's Deadites and the way that they look were more fitting for the tone and style that he was trying to go for that movie. And then Fede Alvarez's Deadites are more suitable for his tone. You can't put either one of them in any of those other worlds because they definitely would not fit. But I see what you're saying. I personally really did like the look of the Deadites. I thought the Deadites actually looked pretty fucking sick. That movie had great gore in it too. Now that
It did
really good gore.
We talking Rise or the 2013?
2013. I'm not talking Rise yet.
God, that fucking arm cleaver scene.
What I'll say about 2013 and like comparing it to Rise, the 2013, the end of that movie, like the last like 20-30 minutes of that movie are fucking balls to the wall. Like,
yes,
insane. And I feel like, again, without jumping in and like ruining my thoughts on Rise too much, like I kind of thought going into this one, I'm like, you're not going to top that. There is no way you're going to top that.
I had a similar thought, but I tried to go into this without comparing it in any way, even though like I personally, like, I kind of feel like they're in the same fucking world, man.
Yeah.
I feel like these are like in the same world. Definitely like very similar tones for sure. Very similar. Almost feels like a like kind of like how, let's see if I can describe this right. It kind of just feels like how it is with like the Insidious movies, you know what I mean? How like an Insidious 2 feels like an Insidious 2. You know, it like never feels like its own individual movie or part of that franchise, if that makes sense. It just always feels like it's a part 2, it's a sequel. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
so like Insidious 3 had nothing to do with that story, but you can watch it and you can tell it's an Insidious movie.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right.
Good example of better yet. Insidious 3 was the better example of that. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, but that's what I want to say about it. But I just feel like it's in the same world, and it just feels like a continuation of some sort in a very weird way.
So I'm thinking, let's get into a plot breakdown. You
All
know, it
right.
looks like we're all ready to talk about Evil Dead.
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
pull it
let's
up.
do it.
All right, boys, ready?
Yep.
So, Evil Dead Rise 2023. A twisted tale of two estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. That's just some random ass one. A new line. I'll do a new line. I'll read new lines.
Okay.
Moving the action out of the woods and into the city, Evil Dead Rise tells a twisted tale of two estranged sisters, played by Sutherland and Sullivan, whose reunion is cut short. Oh, it's the same fucking bullshit. They just they just put like moving the action out of the woods and into the city.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it in a nutshell, man.
Yeah. So, you know, the one major thing, moving it out of the cabin in the woods. Did you dig that?
No.
No? Okay.
No. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing. I get why they did it. You don't want to just keep making the same movie over and over and over again.
Right.
And I get that, but I read an interview with Lee Cronin, and he said that he wanted to make it as distant as possible. So he's like, what's the complete opposite of a cabin in the woods?
True.
A high-rise apartment in LA. So
Right.
I get it, but I know that a lot of people, and I think we're planning on getting into this too, so not to jump too ahead on that, but like when the trailer came out, a lot of people were like, oh, it's Demons 2. Like
I was like, I'm hoping
Yeah.
this takes the Demons 2 route.
That's all he was saying yesterday. He's like he couldn't stop talking about Demons 2.
Yeah. And I didn't see Demons 2. I watched it before we jumped on here. So I couldn't really compare it too much to it, but I know the trailer came out and I was hyped. I was like, this looks genuinely fucking creepy. And the setting, I was willing to be open-minded with it. I'm like, I get why they're doing it. It still, from the trailer, looks like an Evil Dead movie. So like,
Right.
like while the cabin is like important to the Evil Dead story, I think the other aspects of Evil Dead are present in the movie 100%. The Deadites, the book, like everything else, they just changed the setting. So that didn't bug me too much, but there's still the part of you that's like, man, I want to see a cabin in the woods. So
Hey, you listen, you know, those first two and even the remake, like what a setting, you know.
Oh yeah, dude. Like the woods.
Yeah.
It's-
But I
it's
do
scary.
appreciate they're like, let's change it up a bit. And of course, me being a Lamberto Baba fan, and like immediately I was like, yo, tell me they're gonna do the Demons 2 route. And as soon as we got done watching, well, we grabbed food, and then I was like, let's watch Demons 2 tonight. And
And unfortunately, I was just so tired. I
it
fell
was
asleep.
a long day.
It was a long fucking day, man. I was even just shocked that I was able to get through Evil Dead Rise.
Well, we didn't start Demons 2 till like 1:45 in the morning.
Yup.
But you know me, I power through it.
I don't know how you fucking
I'm
do
just
it,
like,
man.
yeah. Yeah, I was eating it up last night. I was like, fuck yeah.
I'm sad I fucking fell asleep.
But you know, I was really hoping for that. And I was, you know, when the first trailers dropped, I was kind of like, the first initial one I was hyped on. Then they dropped another trailer with some different scenes, and I was feeling a little 50-50.
I never watched any other trailer besides the first one they dropped.
Yeah. But then after that, and then they dropped, I think, like another like teaser trailers. I was like, no. I was like, that's enough. I don't want to see too much, because like you had said with Fede Alvarez, is they showed like just a little too much. And same with like even the newer Halloweens, they like show like half, almost the whole fucking movie.
And they definitely did it with this movie too. Like there was so much that was in the trailers that like I wasn't really like super surprised at any parts in the movie.
Just Hollywood, man, is just so bad with that shit. Like it's like Jordan Peele's in charge of all his marketing and shit, I believe.
And I'm happy he is.
He's like in charge of like final cut on the trailers and shit. So anything that you see with one of his movies, you'll know that like you're in safe hands. It's not gonna really spoil too much. It's such a letdown though, like when that shit happens, dude. or when you see cool things in the trailer and then it turns out to not be in the movie.
Yeah. Oh,
You're
yeah.
like, oh, it's a
that
deleted scene.
sucks.
You gotta wait for it to come out.
Well, I think they're like cutting down on that shit now because like a bunch of people sued some movie because I forget what actress it was, but she was in the trailer for the movie and then she wasn't in the actual movie.
Oh shit.
So they sued the film company.
False advertisement.
I want to say it might have been Ana de Armas, but I could be wrong. They sued the company and they won. So film companies have been like super careful with that shit now. Like they will not put anything in a trailer that they're not going to leave in the movie.
First of all,
because
how do you cut a woman as perfect as Ana de Armas? Okay, that's just you deserve to be sued.
I mean, on the topic of it now, dude, I know you guys, I don't know if either one of you are into James Bond or anything, but she was in the last James Bond.
Mhm.
And like in the trailers, they made it seem like she was like a huge fucking role in the movie and she was in it for like 5 minutes.
That sucks.
So that's like cutting somebody out who's not in the movie and then keeping somebody in a trailer and making it look like they're
Is
a main
this still
character.
Daniel Craig or no?
He's done now.
Oh, he's done now.
Yeah.
He lives up by me.
Does he?
Yeah, the locals hate him.
He actually, my uncle, because he does like excavating and stuff, he told me he went to Daniel Craig's house, didn't realize who he was, and they were talking about him like putting in a pool. And he's like, yeah, I talked to him for like 2 hours, and then I left his house, and my secretary's like, do you realize who that was?
The dealership I was working
Yeah.
at, he came and bought like a decked out Tundra, but he came like during closing hours, like a special sale. I was like just kind of out the door, and
Pay
yeah,
for that shit cash.
yeah, he bought that fucking super decked out. Dealt with salesman like one-on-one.
Oh yeah.
This dude
Mhm.
Tyrell just fucking
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He felt like a big
yeah,
guy.
he was like
Feeling himself.
he was
after
he
that.
was gloating about it, bragging about it all
It's like, I
fucking
made
week
commission
after.
and I got an autograph.
But I don't know. Locals say he's an asshole. But enough about Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Back to Evil Dead Rise.
So how do you feel about them taking it out? Like since you're a
So-
big Demons 2 guy,
Yeah, I
Um,
was with it. I mean, they give you a bit of the cabin in the opening.
I didn't like that.
I could see why you didn't like it, but that fucking scalp scene. Okay, just a warning. We are gonna get so spoiler heavy on this, so we probably should have.
This is a spoiler. This is a spoiled filled. I was gonna say spoiler filled.
Yeah, if you,
Spoil filled. Fuck.
I got you. I got you.
You got it.
All
Can't
right,
say it.
so I'm going to throw the warning out now, which I should have done before. If you have not seen this movie, I just want to throw the spoiler warnings now. Go see it, then come back to this episode because we are getting spoiler heavy. So yeah, the beginning, the intro, the cabin there, it's just like, oh, there's your cabin in the woods with
There's your Raimi cam.
yeah, there's your Raimi
Mhm.
cam, which turns out to be a fucking what is it, drone? But I do appreciate that fucking scalping. That was some
The
sick
scalping
shit.
was good. Yeah.
What did you think that the girl laying down was creepy at all? Did you think that like when
No.
you saw like when the girl was reading the book
Yeah.
and started like being close in on the pages? Like did you know like, oh yeah, she's gonna start reciting the
Yeah,
exact
just
same-
like in the what is it, the cards like in the
Yeah, yeah. I thought
original.
it was a cool callback to the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah, no,
with the
that was
cards,
cool. That
yeah.
was cool. 4 of spades, queen of hearts. Yeah, hell yeah. But I mean that was cool, but no, she wasn't creepy, but I did
I don't think it was
appreciate
really that creepy. She was just like laying there on the
Yeah.
fucking bed, and then she just like drops on the floor, and then like she rips the girl's head off, and then I don't know, man. Like that was one of the things that I didn't like about the beginning, or I thought that it was kind of a bad beginning.
I'm gonna get this out of the way now. Our audience for the movie ruined the fucking movie. For
Were
like,
they
a lot
loud
of
and
the parts.
obnoxious?
They were laughing through the entire movie, like at parts that weren't even funny. So like this entire opening scene, everybody was just cracking up, and I'm
Yeah,
just
'cause
like,
they're
shut the
uncomfortable.
fuck up, please.
They're
shut the fuck
uncomfortable,
up."
bro.
Yeah.
They didn't see that coming. They were like, "Holy shit!"
Oh.
Ah!
100%. Like I could probably guess that majority of that audience had not seen an Evil Dead movie. There was a girl behind us who would not shut the fuck up the entire movie.
That's the worst.
But she, the part, like, not to jump ahead too much, but like the part where the mom first gets possessed and she's like throwing the eggs on the floor, the girl behind us goes, "Oh, I think there's something wrong with her. I think something's going on with her." And I'm like,
No shit.
yeah, no fucking shit. But no, the opening part, it almost lost me. I get what you're saying, Nick. Like, there's some aspects of this movie that I really didn't like, and one of them that I'll say straight out is this movie used a lot of CGI, and the drone hit to the face. I'm like, all right, like whatever. And then her rising out of the lake, and then it says "Evil Dead Rise" behind it.
Yeah, that was a little cheesy.
I was like, yeah, this is a little like you're losing me a little bit already. But we'll hold off. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
What made me like it even less was like how they tied it into the ending.
It just wasn't it wasn't needed, and I think I would have accepted it more, because like this happens and then it says one day earlier and then it cuts to like the events of the movie, and I would have accepted it more if there was like a cooler way that it like transitioned into that.
Right.
More but it was just
shocking
like, oh,
opener,
this girl was just in the building the whole time. Like, all right, like I feel like that was just thrown in to say like, okay, here's like a cabin setting, like we'll get it out of the way.
Yeah, we'll just get this out of the way. We'll give you your Raimi cam. We'll throw you in this setting, and then like it doesn't even stay there though. Like that's another thing that I think is like makes it kind of just feel out of place. You throw us into this setting of being in the cabin. You might as well have not done it from the jump, in my opinion, anyways, right? Or
I agree. It was unnecessary. They could have started it right out at the
like you said. It's like
it would have been fine.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like a here you go. Here's your cabin, and then like one day earlier, but you know, like, and then you're like just kind of like waiting the whole time because you're like, all right, it is so out of place. So how is this going to tie into the movie, right? The rest of the movie, right? Is this like a kid? Is this like the aunt? Like you're starting to think once they start introducing you to like the characters or the mom, whoever, and then it never comes. Eventually it does. But what I was going to say earlier when I had lost my train of thought was just like how fucking like crazy the opening of the 2013 was. Like that was an intense fucking opening, right? When the girls like the atmosphere in the woods, and you know, she's being chased, and then she ends up meeting with those guys, and he's like what does he say when he hits her over the head? He's like, got the bitch.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the dad because he's like, I'm sorry, baby.
Right, but even when it goes into that, like that was super fucking sick and scary, you know. Yeah, and then it's a perfect way to bring you into the movie because that's where the Book of the Dead ends up coming in because of what they did in the basement, right?
Yeah.
The way that this like if you're going to use the beginning, at least make it tie into the movie a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay? Like where the tapes come from, or you know, the Necronomicon, right? From the woods.
Which is one of my major issues, which you'd mentioned about how the book and the tape and all that. This whole like apartment being built on this bank vault.
Yeah.
Like why would a priest keep all that in a bank vault, and like the whole like hanging crosses and religious things, you know, that are surrounding the vault?
Well, there was like a tomb. Like, wasn't there like a body down there?
There was a Jesus.
There was definitely, there was a Jesus on the cross that was used for a cheap jump scare.
I thought that when it showed like the crosses, and then underneath it looked like a tomb, and then there was the hole in it, and I thought the kid looked in it and like there was like a skull outline, but I could be wrong.
Could have been. I didn't notice that, but you might have saw something that we didn't.
Yeah, I remember them mentioning like, you know, that this apartment building was built on an old bank, and that the banker worker haunted, you know, that little like, you know, like fucking ghost story. But that's their
and, like,
way.
Don't go in that room or whatever.
Yeah,
right.
That's their way of like getting the book into the apartment building, and I just really
could have did it in a more creative way if they were gonna use if they were gonna just open it up in the woods, man. Like us as being Evil Dead fans, like we don't mind being there, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know, like I might be jumping around a little bit, but I liked that it was in the apartment setting. I liked the look of it. I liked that atmosphere of like it just being like really rainy and dark, and the way that they also use like the whole earthquake factor in it as like the catalyst as far as like keeping them confined to the level. I thought was the apartment levels were pretty cool. Like they really had nowhere to go, and they're like all the way high up. Like curious, where the fuck do you go? The woods.
I was curious how they were gonna do that. Like how they were gonna keep them confined there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I appreciated that, but ultimately, like, you know, when the whole earthquake ends up happening, that's what we're talking about when the whole hole opens up in the basement, and it's revealed that there's a vault, and like you said, Dylan, there might be like some skulls or crypts or something down there, but that's where we find the book, the
Yeah.
Necronomicon, and
it's just
I
so
don't like
weird that
it.
it be in a bank vault. But
I can see though that, like, you know, like the Knights Templar and like things like that, and them hiding, you know, very sacred or, you know, secret things in weird places, and having guards look over them, like secrets of the world and stuff like that. Like, I could see like maybe, I mean, the tapes kind of like imply that, you know, there was like these kinds of like exorcisms or like some kind of like fucked up shit going on, and somebody was just trying to like bury it. You know, maybe they felt like they contained whatever this demonic thing was, and they left it in the vault, and that was that. But I don't know.
what's your guys' thoughts on the Necronomicon? Because we see the kid, like, he goes down, he the eldest son, I guess, the DJ
Right.
kid. He gets the book, gets the records, and you know, what did you think? Because my initial thought, as soon as I saw that book, I was like, that's the fucking monster book from Harry Potter. With the teeth?
Yeah, with the teeth, yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
I feel like
what?
they've been doing that shit a lot lately with it. I thought the book looked kind of cool.
The inside I liked.
Kind of boring, but yeah, no, the inside looked great. The pages looked great.
What
All
I
the
thought
fucked
was
up
funny
photos.
was it had, when the kid found it, it had like the sheet over it, and it looked like it was breathing. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's gonna be a face like the original one, and it's like, no, it was bugs, and there's no face at all. But it does explain, which I thought was a cool like thing to throw in there. Like, there are 3 Necronomicons.
Yeah. So maybe that was an alternative one compared to
I
the
think
original.
that was a different one than the original, and I think that that's cool because it leaves it open for a sequel, because there's another book out there somewhere now.
Yeah.
And I think Lee Cronin actually said, like, if they make another movie, they could make it at any period of time. They can make it at any location, because that book could be anywhere. Like, it leaves
Right.
it open for them to really do it anywhere.
Well, so I mean, that just like, I mean, that just buried everything that I said before about the bank vault and everything, like how it was there. Like, now it just kind of like makes sense.
Oh no,
that it
what you
could have been
said
there.
still makes sense, because like, why is all that stuff in a bank vault?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, why in a bank vault? But
No, I'm still 100% on board with what you're saying, Nick. But
Right? I was like,
fun-
shit, my shit's buried now. You know, there's 3 books. I forgot.
yeah,
and
I forgot
I'm
about the 3
nitpicking about how
volumes
this
too.
one, how it wasn't like taken out of the woods or something.
no,
But all
you're
right.
good. But the vinyl records that they play, when the priest is talking and you hear the voice and it's like, don't read the book, it's evil. That was actually Bruce Campbell's voice.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Sick.
yeah. And
That's cool.
Lee Cronin said that it's possible that he could have been playing the character of Ash because of like all of the time travel that happens in. But I think that's kind of like a jump. I think it was probably just like a cool little cameo thing to throw in there.
Yeah. That's cool. I didn't even know that was his voice.
I didn't either.
Gotta mention that to Kaylee. She said not enough Bruce Campbell in this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, not enough
there's
Bruce
your Bruce Campbell.
There you go. I even waited for like a post credit.
Yeah.
He
There
gave
was
us
no
one in
post-credit.
2013. He gave us a groovy at the
Yeah.
end of that.
We met Bruce Campbell like 4 years ago. Literally, like, you know how he gives off this image like he's like the most full of himself person in the world?
Yeah.
He is actually like that. like meeting him and everything, he is actually like that. So
Yeah, he did a signing up at the Fair Oaks Drive-In by us, and the owner was like, it wasn't. He just kept it moving. Like,
Yeah, he's like an assembly line, dude. Like, he's just
I
trying
mean,
to move
I get
everybody
too.
out
There was a
quick.
lot of people there.
Yeah, everybody wants to meet him, dude.
Yeah,
He's a
of
fucking
course. It's
icon.
Bruce Campbell.
he did that. We did a photo op with him, and my son was like 4 or 5 months old when we did it. And we were like all excited. We're like, oh, we're gonna get a picture with Bruce Campbell, and we had him in this like baby carrier where he's like facing my wife, and we go in, and she goes to like take him off to turn around, and Bruce Campbell's like, no, leave him on there, and then like takes the picture. So in the picture, like, we're standing there smiling with Bruce Campbell, and my son's like head is just like awkwardly sideways. So yeah, but he did the same thing. He was just like, all right, let's go, take the picture, keep going. Like, yeah.
It's business.
I mean, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. So the characters, You guys digging the characters or not really a fan? I mean, I love the mom.
I thought the mom was
great.
great. I like the aunt. I think all three of the kids were really good in it too. The little girl, like we said,
little girl was great.
She was cool.
Yeah.
Who else? That's it. And I mean, there's like a series of neighbors too, but that's like just like very brief with
just
them.
like little,
they're
little
all
minor
pretty
characters.
cool too, though. I thought they were like pretty cool.
I like the one old guy that's just looking for his cat or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, the cat in the fucking
the air vent.
in the air vent system.
Which that was it's cool that how that came into play with like
he did a lot of like obvious nods to like this is going to be important later on in the movie, like one of which was acknowledging the cat being in the air vent system. Yeah, you're like, boom, that's a check mark. Yeah, when the little girl throws the scissors, drops the scissors under the bed, that's another one.
And then even
the
like
fucking wood chipper in the basement. I was excited because I knew that was going to happen. I knew that I was going to see a wood chipper scene at some point.
What is it? The youngest sister, she makes that little protective stick. But when I saw the way it snapped, right, there was like a sharp end. I was like, ooh, that's going to come into play later.
You're like, ooh, I can't wait to see how they use that.
And sure enough, it was pretty satisfying.
So those are like probably like the 4 things that like Lee Cronin had put in it where it's like, yeah, just wait.
Yeah.
You're going to see these
Which
things
I thought
being
he
used.
did a good job with that.
Yeah, no, it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, what am I going to be like, oh, that was fucking dumb. Like, I don't want to know. I want to be surprised. It's like, nah, man, like, I want to know kind of what you got in mind, Lee.
Yeah, no, I mean, for the most part, I thought the characters were pretty okay. Definitely the mom though. She was fucking great.
She killed it, man. She
and
was
and
scary.
the youngest kid. The sister was okay. The mom,
I thought
the
it was,
aunt,
I was a
whatever,
little
Honey
bummed
Boo Boo.
because like, and I discussed this too with my wife when we left. It's just like, I feel like the mom was the most likable character.
Yeah.
And they made the final girl the aunt
sister?
that's just kind of like
not
like,
very likable because the
yeah,
mom
not
is just
likable
like,
at all. Yeah,
she's just like a really nice, kind woman. Even though she's going through her own struggles, you know, she still tries to be there for her sister, and her sister's just not there for her.
Yeah.
And her sister tries to play off the bullshit, like, "Oh no, I am here for you." And she's like, "I called you 2 times." And she goes and she starts listening to the voicemails, and then, you know, the sister realizes like, "I'm a piece of shit. I suck.
Yeah.
I'm a bad sister."
I will say, bringing up the voicemails. So the mom dying, and when the voicemail starts playing, and she's like, "Help me, I'm burning." That literally like fucking sent shivers down my spine. I'm like, that is fucking creepy. Like,
that's cool.
A plus part right there.
Yeah, no, that was pretty dope. Yeah,
that was a
and
dope scene.
The mom looked pretty creepy. Like, she almost gave me the vibe of what is it, Mario Bava's anthology. What trying to think. It's got, is it Black Sabbath? What the fuck is
Mario Bava? Yeah, that's an anthology by him. With
yeah,
Boris
Black
Karloff
Sabbath,
in it.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, the one with the older woman who's like comes back from the dead. So the mom in Evil Dead Rise, her look gave me that vibe when she was laying dead in the bed, and I was a little creeped out like by that.
Dude,
she did look creepy.
So let's. How should we move forward with talking about this? You want to talk about like the initial of like how the whole possession, and like how everything pops off in this movie, because like we know that it's set in the high-rise apartment. The movie starts out with the sister. We end up finding that like she's pregnant, and she goes and seeks out her sister living in the apartment with her 3 children. Right, young girl, probably like 8 or 9 years old or some shit. And then a brother and sister.
Yeah, 2
teenagers roughly. And it's a single mother, and we don't initially know that until, you know, the sister, she's like giving everybody gifts, and she's like, "Hey, I got so and so a gift," and it's like a cup. And then that's when we like find out that the mother and the father had split up, and she doesn't understand why and everything like that. So yeah, that's kind of like how we meet the players, and then we're just meet a series of neighbors and shit like that, like you had said before.
So another major thing about most, at least like the original Evil Dead 2013, and this one is how the Deadites rise, how you know they get possessed, and the way that this film does it is the eldest kid, the DJ kid, he plays the record slow, which I know it's a cliche now. But I'm a fucking sucker for like the backwards record.
Yeah,
with, like
they did in Little Nicky.
Yes. What is it? Fucking
Chicago.
Chicago.
Oh my god, Chicago kicks ass.
What is it? I am.
I, in
Lucifer.
the name of Lucifer, command you to spread the blood of the innocent.
And then he's like, "Oh my god!
Oh my god, Chicago kicks
Hell
ass.
yeah!" That was using a Dr. Acula song.
Oh, I'm sure it was. Yeah, like I think it's worth saying though that the character of the son himself, he's like a DJ, and like when we're introduced to him, he's like the music like he was playing was fucking dope.
Yeah, dude, that kid was
When
going
he was
off.
mixing, dude, like he was fucking dope, dude.
That kid had a future for sure.
So, but yeah, no, he did have a future.
Have.
So I don't know what goes into like vinyl pressing.
Dude,
I don't
Dylan,
know-
I fucking love you, dude, because that was my biggest gripe about it. How hard
I
is
was
it to
like-
make a fucking record? It's not
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, but like this guy's like the guys who made the record, or the guy, I guess, like
What
he
happened
had
to-
time to press this vinyl record
Exactly.
while these demons are attacking.
I'm
him.
so glad you fucking said that, dude. Wouldn't it have been cooler if, let's say, they found like a little mini tape? Like it
Mhm.
could make sense that like it would be like this could be like a bootleg, you know, of a tape transfer of a record or something like that. You know, like you see him and he's spinning records and shit. And it just so happens that he finds a record which has like all the information on it that he
Yeah.
needs. Like,
what are the chances?
what are the chances? Like, if you found a tape, it's just like, hey, man, like, some people might have a tape player laying around, not a full DJ system. So he could have found a tape instead of a record, brought it up, put it in his tape deck, and then like maybe could have been cool if like he was just like vibing, making a mix instead of just like initially like throwing it on and then being so captivated and spooked by what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but dude,
Or
I'm very glad
to play into like the
you brought
bank
that
vault
up.
thing. Like what I thought was gonna happen initially was maybe like somebody cleared out the cabin and brought this stuff to like a safety deposit box or something,
Right,
and
some kind of
maybe they were gonna
storage.
find like the original Necronomicon and like the tape player, bring the tape player up and play that. That's what I initially thought was gonna happen, but like I feel like it was too coincidental. Like, oh, this guy made a vinyl record,
Right.
like you said, and like this kid happens to have an entire fucking
DJ setup.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not mad at all, and I don't dislike how like the earthquake happens.
No,
and,
no.
Like I don't dislike that. How that's the thing that ultimately like unearths the vault and shit. Didn't dislike that. Just didn't like how it was a record.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
something
see
else.
your guys' arguments.
Yeah.
Maybe the tape deck, if him making
It could have just been a
would've
little
been
bit less
cool.
on the nose, a little bit like more cooler and a little bit more believable.
Mhm.
I love, like I said, you know, any kind of like heavy metal horror with the trope of the satanic panic of the 80s of playing the record
Mhm.
backwards. Like,
Well, picture
yeah.
something like in like Trick or Treat, right?
Yeah.
With the tape, right? Like similar to that. They could have did that.
but also there's the backwards record playing in that.
Yeah, but I believe that Ragman owned a fucking record player. You know, like
You don't believe? Look, vinyl's big nowadays.
You're right.
What I
Look,
don't
I'm not
believe,
gonna
though,
harp on it too much. Like,
is
I just think it's hard to press a record.
yeah. No,
and-
I get it. I get it.
Especially when there's like demonic entities coming
Right.
after you.
It's like nah, man. Like it's super pressing time. Like in the original, it was who was it who was like talking into it?
In the
in the
original,
original,
it was
yeah.
like some archaeologist.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
there's archaeologist who uncovered the book. Yeah.
Right, and he was just kind of like going through and like speaking all of his findings and things
Mhm.
like that, and then, yeah, like that's super believable, you know. Like he recorded it himself, and then somebody ends up finding it. Like the fact that it's a vinyl, man, is like there has to be like another version of it somewhere. You know, like you just don't record on vinyl. I think, you know, like I don't know the process, but
Yeah.
I reckon it's
Okay.
more, you know, whatever.
Yeah, so the kid, he plays the record all slow. It does the Kunda, Verada, Estrada, Nick 2, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All the
And,
commandments that summon the fucking deadites.
and then we get this scene in an elevator with the mom who's about to bring down laundry, and just like in the first one, and Fede Alvarez's, instead of like the tree branches, the what is it? The
It's like all-
elevator wires,
Right. It's like all
Mhm.
electrical wires and shit
get
that end
animated and
up.
tie her up.
Yeah, string her up and shit and start breaking her bones in her body and contorting and things like that. I thought that was pretty sick. I thought the initial possession was pretty dope. They did like a cool Raimi cam too, like in the basement of the apartment building.
You know what's funny though is like she was yelling at her kids for using the elevator after an earthquake, and then she goes and uses it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's normal for parents. I do that shit all the time. I tell my kids, don't do that shit, and then I go do it.
Go and do the thing. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
She went in it afterwards to do laundry, or did she?
Yeah, she looked at the stairs and then was like, "Fuck that," and went in the elevator anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't really.
And then she gets possessed, and then
ends up going back upstairs.
Yeah,
right?
and that's when she just starts like acting funny, making the eggs and shit.
Throwing the eggs in the cast iron.
That was creepy when she first came in, because like the door opened and you just see like her silhouette and she's like doing the fucking weird walk inside. I was like, all right, this is about to get fucking good.
Yeah, definitely a creepy shot. There was another shot where she's just like sitting in the dark hallway, and I thought they missed like an opportunity for like, you know, I'm not one for like over jump scares, but that was an opportunity for one that I think they could have used and they missed out on.
Are you talking about when she's doing the lullaby, when she's like sitting with her back?
Yeah, and then just like trying
I did like that though. I thought that was a cool callback to the well, when she's doing the lullaby, when she's like they're looking through the peephole. I thought that was a cool callback to the original, like.
Oh yeah, like in the basement.
That.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely does some things that like, you know, it's just like you would see in an Evil Dead movie. You know, the contorting. All the copious amounts of like blood, vomiting.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff felt really
self-harm and shit.
I could see where you're going with that. Yeah, it was like, hey, we did. You see that?
Yeah. One of the things that really like I was like, all right, this is kind of stupid. Is the part where they're in the hallway towards the end. And everybody's going, dead by dawn, dead by... and I'm like,
they said the line.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, even like, but I will say, in regards to like saying the lines, the whole "I'll swallow your soul."
That was cool.
She was like, "I'll swallow your soul," or two, because her sister's pregnant.
Yeah, the aunt that she's talking to.
I was like, okay, that's.
What did you think about like? Overall, I think that this movie had some really dope shots in it. Like the peephole shots, I thought were really cool. Shots around the apartment were really cool. Very, very creepy fucking atmosphere inside of there once the mother ends up returning.
The peephole shots, I thought that they were cool, but I think there was too much of it. And like bringing up, like going back a little bit to the characters, like they introduced all these neighbors just for them to get picked off like instantly. And it's just like most of it, like all you see is just like through the peephole of just like bodies flying backwards.
We spend a lot of time in the peephole in this one.
And you know, it's just like the neighbors, they do end up becoming deadites. But I feel like it's such a minor thing. It's like they're harmless deadites where...
Well, they don't get off the ground. Like they're just laying on the ground the whole time.
That's one of my major issues is like, there was your opportunity to do a little Demons 2. You didn't
you never got it.
And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, what a waste.
And that kind of goes back to what I had said earlier too, is there was a lot of parts of this movie that were CGI'd, which really took me out of it, because the past movies have so much good practical effects, especially 2013. So like the deadites in this movie, like their eyes were like almost glowing, and I'm like, all right, like
Demons 2.
You could have just put contacts in. Like you could have not made this look bad.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few moments though, I think, where like some practical effects were like highlighted and used.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like there was really good practical effects.
More of the practical and less the CGI. I always will agree with that.
Oh yeah, I think that's a safe thing for all of us to agree on. More practical over CGI. CGI only to enhance certain things, man. You know, not to like rely on it so heavy.
Like use it to clean up, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. So, you know, the one thing I do like though is that this movie didn't really pull any punches. Like kids were 100%.
Yeah, nobody was safe in this. Like if there was a dog, it definitely would have been fucking.
What is it?
killed.
The limbs ripped off the one neighbor kid, as he's
Yep.
like tossed away. Like I was like, okay. So I'm like, this little girl, she's completely on the table. You know,
Yeah, you don't know.
yeah.
What you thought? The kills were cool. You like the kills?
I
like the
think
kills.
for the
Thought it
most
had good
part, yeah,
kills.
I dug the kills. I mean, you know, people were flinching during the cheese grater scene, even though that was shown in the trailer, but it still gotta,
The
you know.
glass eating with where it's like poking through the throat. I was like, oh, that's fucking good.
I leaned over to Steven and I'm like, I bet that's what it feels like when you swallow a tortilla chip the wrong way when it goes down. Right? That's what it feels like is gonna fucking happen when you swallow a fucking tortilla chip sideways.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
It was cool.
The kills were cool. The wood chipper, that's a good highlight right there of some practical effects. You see like the bodies ripping apart and stuff. That was done really fucking well.
Yeah. I like the way the one sister that becomes a deadite, I guess like the middle child.
Right.
At first I wasn't into her as a deadite, but when she was all fucking burnt to shit after attacking her brother and he like sprays her with whatever.
When she jumps at him when she's wearing the sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty scary in that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's a cool deadite look. And then like even the eldest brother, like his eyes are all fucking white and he's just like all covered in blood. Like he looked pretty creepy too.
The look of them was good, man. I like the way that those deadites looked. Not so much the neighbors, but
yeah, the neighbors,
the family members. Like we said, man, gushing over like just how well the mom looked, dude. Like she was.
Oh, you know what else they did? The whole when the mom eats the one neighbor's eye and spits it in the mouth.
Yeah, that's from Evil Dead 2.
Yep.
That's how the kid dies, right? He fucking
he just swallows it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I think my biggest issue that I had with this movie was again, like I didn't want the trailer to ruin it for me, but it kind of did, because I went into this expecting like a straight horror movie, and I went in wanting Evil Dead 1 and I got Evil Dead 2 with the camp and the cheese and everything. There was a lot of like really poor line delivery also, to where I'm like, I don't know if this was meant to be bad on purpose or if it was just bad. Like I remember one shot in specific where like the sister's face is close up and she's like, I'm not a groupie whore, and I'm like, all right, like that was a line in the movie, I guess.
Oh, she also says, what is it? Come get some. When she's got the shotgun.
She said, come get some.
She's got the broomstick.
Yeah, she said, come get some, and Sierra leaned into me and goes, do your thing.
Oh no,
dude, that's awesome. It's very similar.
It was so much like it.
My mind always goes back to that one. That was like that was the cheesiest fucking thing in any movie. It was from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D.
That was
do your
straight.
thing, cuz that ruined the whole fucking movie. I was like, everything you just did that I remotely liked has just totally went away because of that stupid fucking line.
That was straight corn on the
energy
cob.
And it's funny too, because I thought similarly to how your wife had when I heard the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Some of it's like, I don't know if like it was done on purpose to be like cheesy and campy, or if it was just like they did the best with the script they had and were like, all right, I'll say the line, but like I'm not feeling it.
So how did you feel? Because I did like this aspect. The older brother and sister, and the mom forming this super deadite that Nick and I had. We thought it looked like a Resident Evil boss, but you sent me that picture of Last of Us 2, and I was like, there it is.
Yep.
That's what he's called. Oh, that's kind of like what it is, because isn't a Rat King when like a whole bunch of rats' tails are fucking
yeah.
Right? And they're like a huge rat.
They like act as one. So The Last of Us Part 2, there's a boss called the Rat King, and it's when all of the like a bunch of the bodies like fuse together, and it looks very similar to how this was, where there's just like a bunch of like limbs hanging off of it and stuff. So that was the first thing I thought of when I saw it. I didn't love it. Again, like I know that this whole episode we keep saying like we're not going to compare it to past movies, but like
it's okay too. I mean, it's an Evil Dead movie. It's not like you're comparing, a movie that's not titled Evil Dead and comparing it to like an Evil Dead movie. Like I think it's totally cool if we compare it, dude, because it's in the world now, man. They put it
Yeah.
out there and sold it, and they're like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
here's an Evil Dead movie. It's gonna be hard not to compare to the great ones.
Yeah,
Go
the
on, dude.
demon at the end of 2013 was genuinely like terrifying to me. I thought it was fucking creepy, like me, fucking crawling around and shit. This was like, yeah, this almost felt again like cheesy, like just like borderline really fucking weird. So I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was kind of just like, all right, this is a thing that's happening, and that's how I felt throughout this entire movie. Was just like a series of things happening that I don't love and I don't hate. It's just
You're like,
yeah.
I'm kind of just accepting this.
Yeah,
I liked it. I thought it was pretty dope.
Yeah, I liked it too, and it kind of reminded me of that like tree monster a little bit from part 2 that comes barging through the door or whatever. I was like, okay, they're doing something kind of like this, so I was like, I was okay with it. Kind of dug it.
They gotta like differentiate themselves a little bit. Like what could they have really done? I think that if they didn't include something like that, it might have lost some love for me personally. If it was just like the mom the whole time. I mean, I could have, like you said, like a Demons 2 route definitely would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the fucking big spider, big blobby spider of Deadites. I liked it.
I loved
It looked cool.
the chainsaw to its head, feeding
Yeah.
it into the wood
Yeah.
chipper.
Yeah, that was good.
That was good. And then we got our raining blood from that.
Yes.
Yeah. Which also, speaking of blood, there was the elevator shining
Yeah,
like scene.
Yeah, not to The Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
I
Even
thought it
leaned
was
over
cool
to me
too,
like,
where you
"There's
saw
your
the
Shining."
buttons filling up with
Yeah.
the blood. I thought that was a cool shot. Talking like you keep going back to Demons 2, Steven, but I texted you earlier because I was watching it, and there's a part where they're trying to open the garage door, and they're like, the wiring's all fucked up or something, and like they can't get the door open. I'm like, this is literally the same thing that just happened.
Oh, dude, like when you had made that comparison, I was just like,
Yep.
I sent you that gif of that dude.
Yep.
I was like, you see, they know what they were doing.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So
They kind of missed some opportunities there.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then shit just kind of closes out with the girl from the beginning. She shows up to the parking garage, totally just like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to this cabin.
Yeah, she's
to
like
her
leaving
friend.
her apartment. It's like after all this commotion and everything
Yeah.
that's going on, because like everybody from this movie is like stuck on their apartment level because the elevator's no longer working. They're too high to
Stairs
jump,
collapse.
and all the stairs collapse because of it. So she's on a different level. Nobody knows what the fuck was going on up there. So yeah, she ends up leaving the apartment, and then I mean, it's just kind of like right on the nose. It's like, yeah, no, this is the girl from the beginning, and she ultimately ends up getting possessed.
Yeah.
In the
one
basement.
last Raimi cam.
Yeah.
One last Raimi cam. But
yeah.
I thought that was one thing I really didn't like, because do you think that like a Deadite is gonna just like chill and sit in the car with those two other people like that and not misbehave? All the way to like going on a cabin trip. Like that's why it doesn't make sense that they went to the cabin and all this shit happened, because like it seems like,
well, she would have had to like driven, like she had to get in her car right afterwards and just drive out there.
Right.
And I think like once you're infected with the Deadite,
It's like immediate. It's like,
if
like,
not near, at least within 2 hours.
because we definitely know that they can imitate, the regular human that they've possessed.
Yeah.
But I just like, it's not believable to me that like this girl gets infected, and like you said, Dylan hops in her fucking car, goes and picks up her friends, and then they have like this awesome ride up to the lake, and then who knows like how long they've been there, and then suddenly she starts getting sick after all that time. I don't know. I just
Well,
thought
also
that was
like
silly.
how much of it was still her, because like if it was still her that got in the car, drove out to the cabin and everything, like she just saw a bunch of like blood and like a fucking like massacre, and just like, all right, I'll get in my car and go.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
just like, oh yeah, that didn't happen. Anyways, the weekend.
Yeah, they could have just ended it without tying it into the beginning, if they had made the beginning better, where that is where we end up getting like the tape and the book and things like that, and then she brings it to the apartment, and then maybe she's the one who plays it, right? and she's the one that unleashes the Deadite in the building. You know, like
Mhm.
could have used them as characters. That would have been, you know,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
the people who brought the infection, if you will, to the apartment complex.
I was a little bummed too with the beginning because like the one guy was just such a piece of shit,
Yeah,
and it like you're just like he got the least brutal murder in the movie. Like he deserved to be the one that they like tore apart on screen.
yeah. I mean, overall, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the flick. The only thing I really just didn't enjoy was the record. I didn't enjoy that. I thought, you know, I like how it happens. I just don't like that element about it. You know, throw me in the woods in the beginning, but make it worth it. Tied into the movie better. Didn't really need the ending to tie into the beginning because the way that they did it in the movie was kind of boring. Um, but just those three little things, really. Thought it was great. Otherwise,
Yeah, so I'll get into like initially. That seems like your final thoughts. So
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, to some degree, Lee Cronin did a really good job. I mean, I think it's a dope Evil Dead movie. I think it definitely fits in the world. It definitely fits in the Evil Dead world.
yeah. No, I see it fitting in the
More
Evil Dead
likes
world.
than dislikes overall, for sure. Awesome flick. Fun
I
one.
overall I liked it. I didn't love it. Nowhere near as much as I love like obviously like the first Evil Dead 2, which is my favorite out of all of them. Army
Yeah.
of Darkness, Fede Alvarez's. I just I hate to compare, but yeah. I just wasn't as
I've justified
strong.
us for comparing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were definitely some things to like. The gore was solid. The mom Deadite was fucking scary. When they formed that like super Deadite, I was like, okay, I'm with it. The setting was good. It's just there was just some missed opportunities. Like I said, they could have did a bit more with the Demons 2 route. I know I've said it like many times, but like seriously, go check out Demons 2 cuz essentially that's what like they kind of tried to do but didn't fully commit. Like there was, if they committed a bit more while still making its own thing, I think I would have appreciated personally like way more. But I thought it was solid. It just I didn't love it.
What about you?
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm on the same page as Steven. If I were to make a ranking of Evil Dead like movies and I guess the show, this would definitely be last for me. Um
Fair.
that being said, like it's something that I'd be open to revisit cuz I didn't initially like the 2013 one and now it's probably like one of my favorites. It would be in my top. Um but I love Evil Dead. I love the franchise of Evil Dead. It's one of my favorite franchises. The original Evil Dead is my favorite horror movie. I think what I struggle with the most with the franchise is that they go back and forth so much with we're gonna be straight up horror and we're gonna be campy cheesy like so like you have to be in the mood for one or the other when you're going into it. So like if I'm in the mood for camp, I'll watch Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 2. If I want a straight up horror movie, I'll watch Evil Dead. And like I said before, I wanted this movie to be Evil Dead, and I got Evil Dead 2. So I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was a fun movie overall, but it just wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. Yeah,
Do you think you're gonna
that's where
watch
I
it
put
again? Maybe not in the theater, but when it comes out,
not in
is
the
it something
theater.
that you'll check out again?
I don't think I'd watch it anytime soon, but it's something that maybe like next year, like down the line, if I'm like having an Evil Dead marathon, I'll definitely throw it on. Like it would be part of the rotation. It's just not something. It won't be my go to. Like if I'm
Right.
like I want to watch an Evil Dead movie, it's gonna be the last one I go to.
Dude, I personally find myself watching 2013 like a lot. Like
Mhm.
I love Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, but yeah, dude, I can't stop watching that flick, dude. Like I watch it numerous times a year, honestly. It's a really good one and I'll definitely watch this one again for sure.
Yeah, as soon as
Definitely.
it's available to stream, I'm gonna revisit
I
it,
feel
and
like
then
I feel like they might have held back a little bit. I don't know. I get that little bit of a feeling that like we'll once it ends up getting a physical media release.
Oh, maybe get like an uncut.
You'll end up getting like a sick uncut version.
Yeah.
Because I could see
could
this
see
being
it.
like way more violent, dude. Way more bloodier. They might have had to
And
tone
that's
it down a little bit. And like that could be pretty fucking dope.
that's one thing I'll say too is like I feel like this movie followed a lot of the tropes that a lot of modern horror movies follow. And I think like you said too, I feel like it was cut down a lot to where like it felt like an Evil Dead movie and
Right.
it definitely had some gory parts to it, but it didn't hit the marks that like the past Evil Dead movies
Yeah.
hit as
Yeah.
far as like gore and everything. I feel like it was definitely toned down for a movie audience, and I could see them definitely putting out like an uncut version later on.
Yeah, I could definitely see that too. I think I was like mentioning to you last night, Steven, that and Dylan, you probably know better than both of us. They're planning on doing more of these, like more often, right?
Yeah, I think Sam Raimi said recently, or one of them had said in an interview that they want to put them out more frequently because the last one came out 10 years ago. They said they'd like to do it to where they're releasing like every 2 or 3 years.
They're gonna Saw that shit, dude. They're gonna turn it into a franchise like Saw.
That's
what I was thinking.
I could foresee.
The way
Like
that
at
they
that level.
explained it, I think I forget who said it, but I was reading it earlier. But they said that Sam Raimi basically wants to do it like a Bible of like they compared it to a Bible, so like different stories all like in the same universe.
I'm down for that. I'm very
Yeah,
down for that.
okay.
I'd like to
I
see
know
where other
too-
young filmmakers, as Sam Raimi being the young filmmaker that he was with Evil Dead, right? And what
Mhm.
they achieved. I think that this is definitely a good thing for young up and coming filmmakers to cut their teeth in some horror,
Mhm.
with, getting in writing, directing, these Evil Dead installments,
Yeah,
because
and I mean the franchise is. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
no, it's cool. Because the one thing that they do have going for them, which I think will allow them to never be terrible movies, is Sam and Bruce executive
Mhm.
producing them. They have eyes over the movies, really. So, however much creative freedom they give to their directors, I'm not necessarily sure, but I would assume that, they don't really give them too much notes and, burden them with that kind of bullshit. They can make their own movie. But I like the sound of that for sure. I would like to see one every 2 years. I wouldn't mind.
I think
No,
I'm
no,
not
definitely.
maybe not every 2 years, but
Every
I
6 months.
Yeah, no, yeah, every 6 months.
You
right?
want 'em-
Keep cranking them out.
You want them more, faster, more.
Yeah, I mean, not. I don't want a 10-year gap, but I don't know. I could definitely see people complaining about like as it continues.
Yeah.
Well, they tried with the TV show. That's 2 seasons, right? It's only like 2 seasons.
I think there was 3.
Was there?
Yeah.
It was just like that was a great show, man.
Mhm.
And the fans
I admittedly
definitely
have never. I've only watched the first episode, and I haven't gotten beyond that.
the fans wanted more of that, and they,
Yeah.
they cut it, So I mean, more Evil Dead, like cool.
Well, they left it on a cliffhanger. The end of the 3rd season because it got canceled. And after that, Bruce Campbell like announced that he was stepping away from the role of Ash, but the franchise is definitely still alive. I mean, they just came out with the game.
Yeah.
I think Bruce Campbell recently said in an interview that he'd be open to doing like an animated series that would wrap up Ash vs. Evil Dead, which I'm kind of on the fence about. Like, but
It's your favorite, so I understand.
yeah. But like it's very much alive, and the fact that this movie, I want to say that like it's doing really well in box office already. Like it's doing more than what they projected. So I definitely think that we'll see more. But I get what Steven says too. Like when movies are coming out every like year or every 2 years, people are like, oh, like they're just rushing these. Like I don't want it to be rushed. I want it
Right.
to be well thought
That's why
out.
a good
and,
2
like,
years could be like every 2 years could be cool.
Yeah.
So you guys, as far as like watching the trailers and stuff, did they like overhype it in the trailer? Like, did they pull like the whole shit like they usually do, where it's like the scariest movie you'll ever see or the scariest movie of the year, things like that?
I
don't
don't
think-
recall.
And I don't know if they market like that anymore, but the only reason why I bring it up is because that was the marketing for the 2013. If you remember, like the
Yeah.
movie poster, it was Mia walking.
Mhm.
And it was like the red lettering with the red background with the orange lettering. They're like the scariest movie you'll ever see or something like that. And that's a bold fucking statement.
No, I think what they did,
But
what they're doing the most.
But when I left, I was like, that wasn't the scariest movie I've ever seen, but that was an awesome fucking movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, what they're doing a lot with this one is right now it has like high 90s on Rotten Tomatoes.
96 last I saw.
Yeah, so that's what they're doing with the advertising. Is
Are you a Rotten Tomato guy?
No, never.
Okay.
I'm with you, brother.
I don't do that. I don't pull the Rotten Tomato thing.
No.
But that seems like I haven't seen really like, but I think there was a lot of hype too because like they filmed it at South by Southwest. It got good reviews there. They filmed it because it was originally supposed to be an HBO Max release, and then they put it in front of test audiences. The test audiences like loved it so much that they put it into theater release. So I think they like hyped it up a lot with that too, where they're like, this is so good that it's going to theaters, and like this is so scary it's top on Rotten Tomatoes.
Imagine you market your movie like that, where you're like, it was almost on streaming, but now it's getting a theatrical release, so it must be good.
Yeah.
I didn't know that though.
How we living, man.
Yeah. Well, I heard a whole thing about how like the whole streaming services, it kind of fucks the producers and the directors and shit because you don't get royalties and stuff like you do with physical media. Like there's no back end deals with streaming services. So
well, I think that's why a lot of people are going toward. I think a lot of film companies are going towards streaming now because I think they get a higher cut, like the companies do, than the filmmakers do. From what I understand.
Hopefully they do right, like better for like those filmmakers. But I've heard that on like other podcasts that's like a thing with streaming. Dude, it's the fact that Lee Cronin as a director gets to experience this movie of his in a theater. I wonder like how many theaters it was opened in. It was definitely like something fucking crazy. It's been a good year for horror so far, I'd say. It's already like a pretty good start.
Last year was really strong. This year's looking pretty okay.
Last one I saw was Scream.
Yeah.
Was it Scream 6, wasn't it?
6, yeah.
That was fucking solid,
I liked Scream 6.
It brought me out to the theater, dude. And I mean, I don't want to be like one of those guys where it's like, nah, I'd rather just like stay home. But like, yeah, no, I haven't really been going to like the theaters much. I'm pissed I missed Cocaine Bear in theater.
Oh, dude, Cocaine Bear was so fun.
But no, man, I'm loving the theater experience. I feel like it's also having a bit of a resurgence.
Yeah,
people are going out more because our theater was pretty packed. It wasn't like as crazy.
Ours was sold out.
Yeah, we were sold out too.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's cousins tried coming, and prior they like asked me, they're like, "Yeah, where's your seats? All this shit." And I showed them, and then they went. They should have bought tickets then and there. Freaking, I told them. But yeah, no, man, shit was sold out. But like, I don't really remember like a crazy crowd reaction though with this.
No, not
pretty tame. Like nobody freaking out.
I think like
it's all about the person though, really.
The cheese grater scene, I heard some people like, ooh, but
right.
Yeah.
Still, you can't beat it though, man. You can't beat the theater experience.
Well,
I don't think is there any other like bigger movies that are coming out in theaters this year? I know that they just announced like the next Insidious movie's coming out in July, but as far as that, like
that looks good. I think that looks pretty cool.
I'm with it.
Yeah,
I like Insidious.
But I don't think there's anything else like major coming to theaters this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked too hard into like.
Yeah, no, I haven't either, and it's still very, very soon. I mean, not for nothing though. That Insidious movie was real out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't expect it.
Like I saw James Wan post about it a couple days ago, I think, and then I saw the trailer in this, so it was kind of out of left field. I didn't know that it was in production, so that's pretty cool.
So, what do you guys think? You all ready to give your rating?
Yeah. Did you guys do ratings on Horror Haven?
Yeah, of course.
We
Same
did,
rating system we do on here.
Oh,
I like to do the 1 through 10 still, and that's what we do on here. You could use points.
Why? What did you guys do?
No, that's what we did.
Oh, we did
what we did
1 through 10s, but we'd get into decimals, man. We'd be like,
I get into decimals.
like a 4.5.9990.
No, not like that.
Oh, no,
but I
use
like
that?
point.
I don't even know if that's like proper, like fucking proper math or whatever.
I like to think of grading a movie as if like a teacher's grading a paper. I guess like a percentage.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean,
guess first.
Yeah, guess first, man.
Dylan,
what did you think of Evil Dead Rise? What do you rate it?
I'm gonna come in with a 5 out of 10. and I think that goes perfectly with what I've been saying. Like, I didn't love anything, I didn't hate everything. Like, I feel like everything with this movie, I was right in the middle the entire time, and so I think 5 is probably like I'll go like 5.5. Like, it wasn't terrible. I've seen a lot worse movies than this, but I've also seen a lot better movies than this. So I'd go with that.
Okay. And what about you, Steven?
I'm coming in with a 6.8.
6.8?
I liked it, but I sure didn't love it. There were some missed opportunities that would have driven this higher for me. But yeah, I'm curious to see where they go from here, and I will be watching it again once it's like released on streaming. And then I'll go from there. If like I really liked it enough, maybe a second view, maybe I'll pick up a physical media release, especially if it's an uncut version, then I probably will.
I think we're definitely going to see an uncut version of this, dude, for sure.
I'm hoping it doesn't take a while, because didn't 2013 take like years before they finally released it?
Yeah, so
Uncut?
I had the Japanese unrated cut, which
Great
at the time,
cover. That's the greatest cover in my opinion.
yeah, fucking
Oh,
Mia in the fucking
yeah,
basement
with the
yeah.
Japanese lettering.
I'll never get rid of it because I know like Shout Factory has put out their release, their 4K,
Right.
but I can't part ways with mine because it legit came from Japan, and at the time that was the only way to see it fully uncut. And I can't confirm. Maybe you can because you have the Shout unrated release, right?
No,
No?
I don't. No, the
Because
only one
so
I have
I don't
is
know
my
if the
original steelbook.
uncut footage is in the extras, but in the Japanese cut, it's seamless. You know, it's all in
Yeah,
there.
it's in the movie. Like, it's the cut of the movie. I think with the Shout one, I think that's the way that it is. There might be 2 versions. I don't know, but with that one, I mean, I asked you about it because I hadn't seen the uncut version, and then everything that you explained to me, I'm like, oh, that's just every deleted scene that's in the movie.
Yeah.
So, which they have in the special features. So for me, man, I'm gonna come kind of like, in between where you guys are. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Overall, I really liked it. Definitely gonna watch it again. I'm excited to see where the rest of the franchise goes. I thought that the setting was really cool. I love how like contained they were in the apartment setting. I thought that was pretty creative on Lee Cronin's behalf. He wrote and directed it, right? Well, I know he directed it, but he wrote it as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it had great gore. I really enjoyed the big spider, the big boss at the end. I thought that was pretty cool. I love some nods to Demons, Demons 2 rather. Yeah, man, I enjoyed it. There wasn't really much I disliked. Just those 3 things. Didn't like the record. Didn't like the beginning and the way that it ties in at the end. Maybe in the director's cut they'll get rid of that.
We'll see. Well, shit, man. Dylan, thank you so much for being on, dude. It's been an absolute pleasure. Where can they find you on the internet if they want to give you a follow or just see?
I don't really have too much going on right now. I would like to get back into the show and stuff. I took down the Horror Haven stuff for now. Not saying that that's a permanent thing, but life's been crazy, so
yeah.
Rather than like start it and stop it and start it and stop it, I'd rather come back to it when I know I can devote time to it.
Right.
So I'm gonna say no plugs this time.
Okay.
But hopefully next time I come on, if I come back on again, if you guys have me back on.
Yeah, we got to think. We got to think about how this went.
Listen,
we got to mull it over.
Yeah.
Nah, man, it's been great. I'm so
yeah.
glad we had you on as our first guest. Dude.
Yeah, I thought you'd
appreciate
be
it.
the absolute perfect first guest, and
appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, we will 100% have you on.
We were talking about it yesterday. We were talking about how we were gonna like the movies we were gonna do to have you on, like Intruder. We were like, yeah, we're definitely gonna have Dylan on do Intruder.
We have to do an Intruder episode with you.
You know,
anytime, man. Anytime you guys want to hit me up, I'm down to jump on.
You know, and then our backup movie, like none of us watched
yeah,
it.
None of us
we
watched
were just like,
it.
once we agreed on Evil Dead, it's cool that we all actually made it out.
Yeah.
To see it, man.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, it's been a fun one, dude. So thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah,
it's been awesome talking about all this shit.
It's been an honor being the first guest. So,
hell yeah, man.
Guys.
First of many, dude.
First of many, and you'll definitely be on for the future.
And then when Horror Haven gets going again, we want to come on, man.
Yeah,
you know,
hell
do
yeah.
a cross episode.
That's actually like because we went like over 100 episodes, and the entire time Steven's like, I gotta get Nick on.
Dude, I wanted to so bad, dude. I was so jealous that you guys had a fucking podcast. I felt like I was like the kid left out at recess, you know? I'm like, they're just talking about all these fucking things that I want to talk about.
Yeah, it just never lined up, and like Steven would like it was just hard with like
It was
the
hard
distance
syncing
and
up
jumping
our
on. Yeah,
schedules at times, and
Dude,
you know,
running a
you're
podcast is difficult stuff,
it's a
dude.
lot of work.
I
Yeah.
mean, you were at 100 episodes, man, and you're editing them, right?
yeah.
Yourself, everything.
Dylan was doing
dude.
it all. Yeah.
And it's you know,
It's a lot.
And how the
Yeah,
fuck,
I mean, you know,
dude, we managed to cover 3 movies in an episode?
oh my
I told
God.
him straight up, I
Never
was like, dude, I'm
again.
like, we're done doing double features. The last double feature we did was the Black Christmas one. And the
Mhm.
editing too, fucking talking about 2 movies, man. It's just a lot, dude. It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah.
But
I think once you find your groove, you realize you really can only do one, because like we didn't know what we were doing when we first did it, so we were just rapid firing. Like,
Yeah.
all right, here's how I felt on this movie, on to the next one. Here's how I felt on, and then we cut it down to 2, and even that was just like we got to a point where we discuss a movie, and then we discuss the next movie, and the episode would come out to be like well over 2 hours, and I'm
yeah.
like, we can split this up into shorter episodes, and that's what we ended up doing. But it's definitely a lot to keep up with. So, and you do the video editing and everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a whole
Putting
other aspect
hours
that
of
I
work.
never wanted to jump into.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest, man. It makes it a lot more difficult, you know, because I mean, I'm not gonna front here and say that, you know, like this is like the shit that we put out is like the whole raw uncut things, man. Like it's pretty heavily edited, you know, to be the best that it could be, I feel. But I noticed with some of our audio only episodes, it's just a lot easier to
Yeah.
edit things, you know. A lot more like if you need to edit out and you know like just
Yeah.
bullshit like that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just easier to do it when you're just doing audio. And then fuck, now it's like stuck in my head. But when you're doing it with the video, it's much more difficult, dude, because you got to be conscious of like the way a cut looks compared to like what you're saying and things like that. But I like it though. Video's always just been like my main background.
Yeah.
So I've had a bit of editing experience. But dude, fucking awesome job with everything you did with Horror Haven, dude. So I
Thanks,
can't
man.
say it enough,
Appreciate
man.
it.
You know,
Yeah, man. I would
it's-
not
it's-
be into podcasting or any of this if it wasn't for
I mean,
him and Sierra bringing
yeah,
me
it's
on.
like you're like the start for me as well. So, you know, when I found out Steven was on the podcast, you know, Steven's always a huge influence on me with a lot of stuff. And when he had told me, you know, that, you know, things were just getting a little too busy for everybody and Horror Haven might have just been doing a little bit of a hiatus, I was like, hey, man, like, let's try to do something, you know? And I always wanted to come on your show. So it's great that, like, life is, like, full circle now and you're on our show. And then
Yeah,
when yours is running again, we're coming on, dude.
Yeah.
We'll talk
Also,
Yeah,
some
I
shit.
just
make
want to
it
give a
happen.
shout out to someone that was like a mentor to both Dylan and I, and that is our boy Larry, Uncle Larry.
Yep.
That dude, man, he's always been in both of our corners and like really just kind of took us under his wing because
Nice.
he has a lot of experience with like doing shows, editing, all that shit. So Larry, if you're listening, or dude, just thank you so much for taking like Dylan and I under your wing, and go check out the Ghoul Kids Table. That's his podcast
Oh,
that
yeah?
he's currently
I like
doing
that.
now.
Yeah. He's still killing it, man.
Still, dude, he's just trucking strong. I mean, I know he's had like his co-hosts have had to like, you know, we're dealing with things, so he doesn't have them on as often, but
Right.
he's still keeping the show going, still putting out content. You know, he's like a fucking machine. So much
Yeah,
love to
I
you,
will
Larry.
say if there's one plug that I give, it would definitely be that show. And I still talk to Larry like almost daily, and he's been trying to get me to come on his show for like future, like within the next few weeks, and it's something where I just got to line it up with my schedule. But like, so if I were to give a plug, like you might see me on an episode over there.
So yeah, if you liked hearing Dylan on this, go check out the Ghoul Kids Table when he will be on Larry's show.
Yeah, so dude, Dylan, this has been fucking fun, man. Can't say it enough, dude. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I hate to call it, but I think it's
Until next
I think
time,
it's
yeah.
until next time, man. So
Next
Steven,
time we'll fucking have you on for Intruder.
Yeah.
That's a must.
So Steven, Take us out, brother.
Yeah, so if you like what you've been hearing and or watching, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Dead With My Friends Podcast. We are also on Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review. Nick, next week, I know we've been talking about it a lot.
The days
We're gonna go
come.
see the Good Brothers in Servant of Sorrow. A bunch of the homies are coming out, a bunch of good Hudson Valley death metal bands. Should be a good time.
It's going to be a great time.
And yeah, until next time.
Until next time, everybody. Peace.